time to shine a light on one stacker who said, you know what, we better call Saul Sehy and OG, that is. This is where we ask OG a question that a stacker either sent us or mailed us, or in this case, they shared with the Stacky Benjamin's basement. Tom asked this question, which I thought was pretty hard hitting, OG. Tom said, when not to avoid IRMAA. So he starts off making it super easy with an acronym that I think a lot of people don't even know what the hell that is. We'll get there in a second. He says, my mother is approaching RMDs. There's another one, tells an RMD. She currently has several streams of post-retirement income and is not hitting the IRMAA cliffs. When the RMDs start, she will. Does it ever make sense to take distributions early, even if you will have extra Medicare costs? My thinking is to take advantage of lower tax brackets now and reduce future RMDs a bit. She's utilized Roth conversions in the past. There's another one to use up the gap between income and the IRMAA cliff. And he asked for help. He got a little bit of help in the basement. I think his question goes over a lot of our stackers' heads, which is why I thought it's about time to bring this kind of thing to the CFP, because I think we can at least try to bridge. What the hell is Tom talking about here, OG?
If she's got, here's one thing I know when I just deciphered all of it. If she's got RMDs now, she was a little bit promiscuous at the sock hop back in the day.
Got to watch out for that.
Grandma let those skirts fly high.
There might be a cream for that, Tom. We're going to check and see if, yes. OG, what the hell is, what's he trying to do? What's Tom trying to do
who's
here?
Who's Irma and why does it matter? And why does it matter with Doug's mom? So here's the thing. Basically, there is a limit to the benevolency of the U.S. government.
No, say it ain't so.
Come on.
Who knew? So,
shut your mouth.
When we get to this retirement time, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of moving pieces that are going on when it comes to retirement. You've got your required distributions, which have changed over the last 5 years from 70.5 to 73. They're changing to 75. There were some years in there where they weren't required because everybody was sick. So F it. You don't need any money, apparently. We don't need to tax you on it. I don't know the logic behind that, but whatever. There used to be lots of tax bills associated with that. If you screwed it up, they went, we're just going to change that too. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the IRA world of you've saved money and now the IRS is saying you have deferred the taxes long enough. It is time for you to start paying income taxes. You don't have to consume the money. You don't have to, if your required distribution this year is 10 grand, you don't have to go spend 10,000 in the economy, but we're going to tax you as if you earn $10,000 and you're going to pay us that tax money. What you do with the money is up to you. So you've got that going on. The other thing that happens as you approach retirement is this transition from generally private insurance of some kind, workplace, included, or the ACA plan that you might have, or whatever, to Medicare. And Medicare happens at age 65. And you have some very, very, very strict rules around how old you have to be to register, how old you have to be to get it. What happens if you don't register? If you say, nah,
boy, don't miss that deadline.
Yeah, no, these are like one shot, one kill type opportunities. You do not have a second chance. If you do not sign up when you're supposed to, you are screwed for life. Literally, they just jack your premiums way up and go tough. That's how it is.
Forever.
And so Medicare is priced based on your income. And for a lot of Americans, it's very inexpensive or no cost whatsoever. And usually Medicare is paid for out of your Social Security benefits. So third area of complexity as you approach retirement is, when the heck do I turn that stream of income on? I've got pensions, I've got Social Security, I've got my 401k, I've got my Roth IRAs and brokerage accounts. And when do, I get a spouse maybe. So how do I optimize that? But when you get your Medicare expenses, that is usually paid for as part of your Social Security check. That's just kind of how the premium's paid. But if you make too much money, then they charge you more money for Medicare. I mean, that's basically what it is. They just go, look, you have enough money. You don't have to have a lot of this paid for on your behalf. And just like you have income tax brackets, you have these Medicare premium brackets, IRMAA. And basically, depending on how your income was now this is the other screwy part, 2 years ago. So depending on what your income was 2 years ago, will depend on the excess cost that you're going to pay for your Medicare premiums, whether it's just Medicare and or the prescription benefit, Part D, 2 years from now. So you had something happen in 2022. 2024 is when you get the adjustment on your Social Security check or on your Medicare premiums, which effectively affects your Social Security check. And so there's this big disconnect between when the thing happened and when you actually have to pay the penalty for it or pay because of it, I guess. Maybe not a penalty per se, but pay the piper, basically. So you have to be aware of what those numbers are too, which is just another whole different bracket of stuff. It's not lined up with tax brackets or any of those sorts of things. So basically with IRMAA, as it relates to Medicare, there are 5 different brackets. As your income passes through those, you get a little extra surcharge on your Medicare. And it's a pretty big number too. I mean, it can be as much as an extra $420 a person for Medicare, and sometimes Medicare is maybe $100, $120 a person normally. And so it could go as high as $600 a month per person. That's a pretty big change if you weren't expecting it, right? So imagine your Medicare premiums were $200 and now they're $1,200. That's a pretty big change. So what Tom's looking at here is he's saying, well, wait a second. Mom's got Social Security. Mom's got a pension, maybe from work. And now I can see into the future, right? I can do the math on her IRA and I can look at the chart and go, wait a second, if her IRA is worth this, when she's 73, she's going to have to take out that. And now that's going to kick her above this other limit, not only a different tax bracket, which is a whole separate thing, but now it's going to also affect her Medicare premium. Holy crap. How do we balance all this out and how do we plan for it? And the answer is, yeah, you have to plan for it. You have to think about this stuff long in advance because it's hard to solve when you're 71 and go, oh crap, what do I do? Because you only have 2 years to solve this problem. When you're 57, you can start thinking about it. You've got, 15 years to solve it. And then because of the fact that it's a 2-year delay, a lot of times the thing happens, right? You have a big bonus or a big RMD, or you do a once in a lifetime trip. You go, all right, I'm going to take a big amount of money. I'm going to do a big Roth conversion. Right? I'm going to convert $100,000, go team. And then 2 years later, you get a letter that says, oh, by the way, your Medicare premium is now this. And you're like, wait,
you're bad.
Why? What? Wait, hold on. Why? So yeah, you do have to think about those things, and you have to think about those things years and years and years in advance to make sure that you're doing as best as you can to make the right decisions, I guess.
I love this idea of modeling, not just for this, right? But just for the idea of, people take a look at their retirement income streams. And by the way, if you're 25 and you're listening to this, I don't think you have to worry about any of this. Just save money. Just save money. But I think if you're 50 years old, 55 years old, I think you want to look at when you take a dollar out. If you've got big expenses, these one-time purchases, you want to buy a second home or you want to move or you want to buy an RV or whatever the thing is, if you're going to have these blips in your income stream, modeling that out ahead of time and modeling the way Tom can pay these huge dividends, OG. It isn't just about, people like how much money you want to live on every year. It isn't just about that. It's also about if I've got these big bumps in the road where I know things are going to change, I want to model that out too.
To his point, if you had a 10-year, 12-year, track of being able to plan for it, you could basically be converting our IRA money to Roth or be withdrawing money to build up that brokerage account outside of the whole IRA world altogether. You've got a big expense in 2025. Maybe you do half of the expense in 24, half of the expense in 25, half in a third in 24, a third in 25, a third in 26, carry some debt, because the debt interest payment would be better than having, a higher Medicare payment in 2028 when all this settles
wild,
out.
By the way, it's wild that the interest on the debt is less.
Could be, right? Depending on how much it is.
Yeah, but modeling it and thinking that might happen.
Yeah.
Might change everything.
Using your example. Hey, I want to buy an RV. It's $200,000. A lot of people just go, cool, hit the account minus 200, off we go. Well, you pay the piper for that if you're over 65, but you don't pay it today. It's not like it hits you right away. And that's the other major struggle with this is you forget that happened. You get settled into a cash flow, and now all of a sudden your cash flow is adjusted by $1,000 a month or $800 a month or something if you're a couple. And that's a pretty big. Think of $800 a month cash flow difference, $10,000 a year. I think all of us would have a pretty big, pretty big, our breath taken away, I should say, if all of a sudden you had $10,000 less dollars this year to spend. That's pretty meaningful. So. For people wondering this whole time. Gotta love retirement planning, right?
I know.
I love it. This is good stuff. Yeah, no, this is good stuff.
Oh,
this
absolutely.
Is a great question. Yeah.
Yes. And it's not the type of thing, if you're brand new to this, you need to know today, but knowing that things like this are coming up is exactly why I wanted to do this segment today. And for people wondering right now what IRMAA actually stands for, they're yelling at their device. Well, what does it mean? It's income related monthly adjustment amount, IRMAA, which is, as OG explained, it's income related. You need to know exactly how the income's coming in. Then there's going to be a monthly adjustment on your Medicare, depending on exactly how much you took out 2 years ago. And RMDs is your required minimum distributions. There's been some changes in required minimum distributions a couple of years ago. When do people have to take required minimum distributions now?
Well, this year it's the year after it's April. The technicality is April 1st following the year in which you turned 73. Most people take it the year they turn 73, which is allowable also. But your first RMD has to be by April 1st, the year after you turn 73. And that's changing over the next half a decade to be 75. So there's different,
it's staggered.
Staggered as time goes on.
And to Tom's point, while it may look like taking that as late as possible, like a deferred tax is a better tax, a lot of the time, yes. But in this case, you could end up paying some penalties in other areas like Medicare if you do this, which is what Tom's trying to avoid. So he does. Yeah,
there's that taxes. There's extra Medicare tax. If you make too much money, you pay a higher Medicare tax normally. So you can double dip there. There's extra capital gains taxes and all those sorts of fun things, depending on how your income is. So this is a whole section of financial planning is tax management. And unfortunately, I don't think that a lot of CPAs and a lot of tax preparers spend a lot of time on it because they're overwhelmed during the year of actually putting numbers from last year on a piece of paper so they can send to the IRS. There's not a lot of thought given to planning for next year, let alone planning for the next 10 or 15 or 20 years potentially. A lot of unknowns there, obviously.
And certainly it's not something, it is something that you model, but this is why we call it planning and not a plan, because as things change, you continue to roll with it. Super, super exciting. Tom, thanks for asking that question in the basement. I was like, you know what, Tom, this was one that definitely should have come to the show. If you've got a question, whether it's really, really nerdy like Tom's, or it's just a question that you think, this might be a dumb question, I'll tell you that the number
probably
of times. The number of times somebody has said, I think it's a dumb question. I'm like, nope, this is what everybody asks me all the time. Is every time.
Doesn't make it not a dumb question.
Head to you're not helping our case here.
Sorry. Okay.
StackingBenjamins.com/voicemail. And you can ask your question, because different than OG, I think that question's probably is one somebody else is thinking about too. And we'd love to help you answer it.